Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Picadian.
Jared Brandon.
Both of you.
I like those guys.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death that you are listening to our show. We've got a super fun episode ahead of you.
I love it.
Yes. You know, we just came off the brain-wrenching, the all-encompassing...
And gut-wrenching.
Vox 101 episode where we deep dove into the world of the Argyle master.
The amps known as Vox.
Yes. So we're going to just have a little more lightweight, a little more fun, a little more conversation. Zach from Mythos Pedals. Oh, wait. Who are you?
I'm Zach from Mythos Pedals.
I nailed it.
I knew him.
Man, I'm from a lot of things now these days. So.
Yeah. So we have got a fantastic show, and we're glad that you are with us. For those who may not know, maybe you're just joining, maybe you just discovered us, maybe somebody you trust just said, you know what, you got to listen to the show. What do we do on this show, Tony?
I have to answer this?
That would be helpful.
Okay.
And not drag this
We
on.
talk to small builders and big builders and pedal builders and guitar builders and pickup builders. And we do one-on-one shows, and we talked about Vox amps last show, which was awesome.
We like to talk about gear.
Yeah.
All the good stuff. All the guitars. All the amps.
You done good, Jared. That was your best effort.
I covered everything.
Good job.
Many years.
You done it right. So that's what we do.
Yeah, and tonight's no exception.
No.
So, Zach, for those who may not be familiar with what you do, can you give them we're going up 2 floors. That's how much time you got.
Oh, okay. We build electric guitar effects outside Nashville, Tennessee. I've been doing it professionally full-time since 2017, and our stuff is designed by a guitar player, built by guitar players, and made for guitar players.
Perfecto. And we've had you on the show a couple times already, like very early on, actually.
Yeah, it was
right after you started.
Really, yeah. It's been years. I was still in the spare apartment room.
Yeah,
I think.
It was like you were just going like, "Hey, how's this fleece thing? What do you think?"
Right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those were the days. So we're gonna catch up because we haven't talked to you in a while. And I know you've been very busy. Where can people go to see the things that you're doing?
You can go to mythospedals.com or just put that in your Google machine and you can find us pretty much anywhere. But that's the best place.
Perfect. So let's get on with this, everybody. So, Tanya.
Yes.
The lovely.
Yes.
The leggy.
Yeah. Leggy?
Which I've mentioned before. Miss...
They go all the way
Miss
up.
Potato Salad Youngstown runner-up.
I love it.
What's going on in your music world this week?
Well, aside from winning potato salad contests,
Yes.
or almost winning, apparently, I watched a Ventures documentary.
Oh, cool.
And I learned a couple of things. First of all, I always assumed that the Ventures were from California. No, I'd be wrong because they were from the Seattle-Tacoma, Washington area.
Okay.
In fact, they spent some time trying to do some recording down in Los Angeles, and they were told to go back up to SeaTac, to the place where they recorded their original stuff because that was their sound. So that was an interesting little thing. And the other thing I never realized is their biggest hit, and probably the song that put instrumental surf tunes on the charts back in 1962, Walk, Don't Run, was originally done as a jazz tune by Johnny Smith, and then Chet Atkins also did a version of Walk, Don't Run. And when you listen to I went back and listened to both of those versions, and what they described in the documentary is, these guys said, well, we couldn't really play like Johnny Smith or Chet Atkins, so we just venturized the song.
Indeed.
And it's really cool because a lot of the basic parts of the song are in the jazzy versions.
Mm-hmm.
But what the Ventures did to it, I mean, that just totally revolutionized the music world.
Huh.
So for those who don't know,
was it worth your time?
It was worth the time. It wasn't the best made documentary I've ever seen, but it was worth watching. And it's, for those who don't know, the Ventures were really the premier surf instrumental group. They were formed in 1958 by Don Wilson and Bob Bogle. And later, the what would be the classic lineup, Noki Edwards, who originally was brought on board as a bass player, but he was such a good lead guitar player, he became the lead guitar player, and Mel Taylor on drums. So it was really interesting to see some of the old footage and some of they were on American Bandstand and different things like that. But they at their time they were, I guess in the rock world, relatively old. I think they were in their mid to late 20s when they became popular, and playing in front of screaming teenagers and that sort of thing. So, so it was kind of interesting. But yeah, I think I found it on Prime Video or something like that. If you have a chance and have I don't know, it's probably about an hour and a half or so. It's definitely worth watching.
I dig it
because you can learn a thing or two, like I did.
Very nice, very nice. I think we actually met one of the Ventures at, you know what? I think it was, Jared, I think that was the Michigan Guitar Show. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. He just came up and goes, well, I'm one of the Ventures, and those guitars suck. He was talking about the Maserite, something. I can come on and tell you about how Maserites are terrible. Okay.
Well, actually, their pickups were actually made out of like Bondo, and Bondo is like a putty that gets hard that they use in the automotive industry to fix like dents and stuff like that. And it was very, I don't know,
primitive.
Just
yes,
very primitive.
Anyone who's ever owned or played a Maserite knows that they are fairly primitive guitars, and they're a little difficult to play because the nut width is very narrow. The frets are extremely low. It makes Gibson's fretless wonders look like you're playing something with jumbo frets.
It's like a bunch of like people in the mechanic and auto industry got together and said, "Let's make guitars."
Well, that's probably not too far off the path there, but yeah, that's I think. I have a couple that I really enjoy, but they're not my favorite guitars to play because they do require a little different touch, and if you've got big honking hands like mine and you like to play pressing the strings through the back of the neck like I do, it doesn't work real well.
Well, we're talking about them, so good for them.
Yeah. No, they're cool guitars.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, how about that was I think I'd actually like to watch that. I mean, there was a lot of really cool stuff that was happening in that era.
Why don't you come over sometime and I'll make some popcorn?
That sounds really
We can have a PJ party.
That is the creepiest thing you've ever said to me. And you said some creepy stuff to me.
Zach, you come on up too.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm smoking Polska kielbasa. Come on over and jacuzzi with me. What? That happened. That happened.
It did happen.
Jeez. Anyways, let's check in with Zach.
Oh man, not a whole lot's going on apart. I mean, this like normal pedal builder stuff. I'm going through a bit of a why in the world do I have so much stuff phase of my life.
Oh man.
And just looking around, I'm like, I got a lot of guitars and a lot of amps, and I mean, the best thing about being in this industry is you get the opportunity to get so many great things, and you meet people and you get great deals and you have all this stuff, and then you never have a moment to enjoy it. So I've been having a bit of my gear life crisis, as we've called it around the shop. And I don't know. I'm feeling very purgy, and so I'm thinking about selling a ton of pedals, amps, guitars, all the things that I have. But it's really hard for me. I have I definitely adhere to the Marie Kondo. If it brings you joy, you should have it. And unfortunately for me, everything I hold, I'm like, oh, I really like this. So, but that's kind of the thing that's been on the back of my mind, apart from all the normal pedal building things. But I get out every guitar that's kept in a case, and I look at it and go, do I really need you? And then I strum it and go, yeah. And then I put it back in the case, and then I don't play it for another month.
There you go. That's
as long as you take that time every so often to do that, it's allowed.
Yeah, it's just I don't think that for me, I'm just getting to the point where I can't justify it, because finding a modicum of success, and I'm not trying to boast here, but you tend to you set your sights a little higher, and so you spend more money on gear. And for me, I've spent a lot of money over the past couple of years on some really expensive stuff that doesn't get the time that it deserves, and it just feels wasteful. And I feel like I should sell these things and turn them into investments, or something like, things that are going to benefit my wife and my son and myself later. But I don't know.
You're cursing right now. Nah.
Well, I get it.
Yeah,
you and me both, man.
Gear life crisis. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, do you think, we've talked about this a little bit before, and almost every single builder I know is in the same position. And frankly, almost every single person we've had on the show, like, what do you do? Man, I hardly ever play anymore. Is it like, I've kind of always had the sort of guiding principle in life. It's like, if you love pizza, don't work in a pizza shop.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it for me is every day is playing guitar.
If you love to eat pizza, I should say that.
Well, yeah.
that is a clarifying factor.
I was like looking at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, guitar is work. And I want it to be play, but I don't know. That got a little heavy, but that's where I'm at right now. So.
Okay.
I get it.
Well, I will bring a large briefcase full of cash.
Yeah. Please.
Well, Jared, how about yourself?
Yeah. Speaking of selling stuff, I sold one of my Reverends. And I never play them. I love those guitars, especially because I bought my first Reverend off Ken, and he was funny. That day I went to they call it the Reverend Ranch or the Ranch, and it's just a big warehouse where they have all the stuff, but nice office, nice demo room that you can see when they're on the internet. But went in there and he said, "Hey, let's walk over to this really good cafe and get some great coffee." And I'm like thinking, this really nice high-end coffee place. And we started to walk across the street, and there was a Speedway, and that was it. we went to the Speedway and we got coffee, and he's like, "It's good coffee, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." But anyway, I bought it. Long story short, I bought my first Reverend from him directly, and it was a 6-gun, the light blue 6-gun. Mm-hmm. And I had Tony Bolonsky here make me 2 or 3 different pick guards for it. And I kept the 2, I put 2 screen top humbuckers in it, and I don't even remember what spec the humbuckers are. It's been too long. I totally forgot what they were, but they look cool. They sound great. The guitar just sounds and plays fantastic. But I have so many guitars, and I don't use them. I've only been using, I think, 2 Fender style, or 2 Fenders and Gibsons, and some Martin acoustics. It's about it. Not really using the Reverend. Using the Chasing Vintage though. Yeah. So guy at work, her heard me over talking about the reverends. He said, bring him over here. I want to see him. So I bring him over, and he ended up buying the 6-gun. So really likes it. He's like, dude, what are these pickups? What are these pickups? I'm like, I don't remember. I don't know. Don't ask. I don't know. But they sound great. They sound great. I'm like, great, cool. And it made me feel good that he liked it so much, because it justified me selling it to somebody who's going to use it and enjoy it more than I did. It's great guitar. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. When you have too many guitars, you have too many guitars. And I just turned it into cash, and I don't know.
Well, now you need to drive up to see Zach.
And I am tomorrow.
Bring the cash.
He saw all my stuff.
Yeah, it's tough, man. However, I've been looking for a 54 Gibson Custom that's got the staple pickup in it, the 54.
Yep.
All Nico staple. And I may have found one. I've been looking for one. They never go to the, like, employees can buy demo guitars, and we get a slight discount, but those things never end up in the demo, because we only make maybe a few hundred a year, if that. We don't make a lot of those. So if I want one, I just have to look for one, and I've been looking for one for a year and a half. I may have found one. So
is it a real one or a reissue?
No, it's just a reissue.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the reissues brand new are like $8,000 or $9,000. I couldn't. I mean, even discounted employee, that's a lot of money. So it's not something that. And I don't play out much anymore. So
Yeah, get yourself a nice Epiphone.
There you go.
Huh?
Man, they're the same as them Gibsons.
It is. They're exactlyest.
Yeah.
Well, no, you say that though. The
If
new
you
stuff's
sold that
gotten
white
better
SG,
and better
you could get
and better.
like 200 Epiphones.
Yeah, but they are getting better and better and better.
No, I
compared to
agree.
before.
I have an Epiphone Les Paul Standard that Aljon hooked me up with, and Rhett, Shull, and I compared it to a real Burst, and it sounded almost identical. It was insane.
I know. Don't tell anybody.
But did it play almost identical?
We've had real bursts in it. We've had real bursts in the custom shop, and we've plugged in other like custom shop guitars, and they sound louder but I mean, not all bursts are bursty,
They're all just guitars.
They're just all guitars, and some sound better than others.
Oh, wise one,
Crazy.
tell me about bursts. Not all bursts are bursty.
They're not.
I love it. P.S. I found the thing. I'm sending it to you, Jared.
Yay!
He found the
you.
thing.
Found the thing.
I'm gonna read. I'll read the
Huzzah.
thing later.
Yes, do that.
Hey, Todd, what about you?
Well, I'm glad you asked. First of all, I want to send out a sincere thank you. I was not expecting this, but I got so many messages regarding the passing of my dad, and I just, it was nice because I kind of didn't want to put it out on social. I realize by me saying it on the podcast, but that's sharing a little bit more personal to a smaller group.
Right.
I didn't just want to like lob it out there and go, well, this happened to everybody. I just felt weird about it. There's even people that like called me that I haven't even got back to because I don't know, kind of struggling with it a little bit. But I just really didn't expect it, and so many people sent messages, just saying, "Hey, man, sorry about the news that you shared on the thing." And the coolest thing is, like, almost every single one of them said, "If you need to talk, I'm here for you."
Nice.
It's awesome.
These are people that we, some of them we've grown to know well, some of them not so well, and not so well not in a sense that we don't want to know them, but we know them at an arm's length. But just the fact that someone would offer that up, I was really moved by that, and I truly appreciate that from everybody. So thank you. In other news, what I was doing this week, I took the holiday, 4th of July, and I said, okay, first of all, I baked this amazing Dutch baby, a lemon blueberry. It's sort of like a pancake cake pie.
Pannenkuchen.
Yeah, in a iron skillet. Oh man, it blows up almost like a souffle, and then it flattens. It's fantastic.
Can't even taste the baby in there.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know what that has to do with it. Yeah, let me out, Mr. Man.
It's veal.
So after that, I said, okay, I've got time today, and I've been putting off making a video for Flint Effects for the Stomper. And I thought, okay, I'll just go down there and get this taken care of. And the thing is that people just, I think, take for granted. Whenever you see a really good video, a lot of work went into that, in all likelihood. Mm-hmm. And it's shocking and borderline shameful if you're just like, wow, I just spent this many hours trying to do this, trying to, get the script written, trying to get the vocals done, trying to put on all the stuff, go upload it. Well, I got to make an ad, blah, blah, blah. I got to pick the music, yada, yada. It's like, 4.5 hours. And it was, but it ended up the way I wanted to, and I was happy with it, and I'm hoping that we get some good traction out of that. And if you have an HX Stomp,
yes,
you got to protect your knobs.
Protect your knobs.
So you need a Stomper from flinteffects.com, so go check it out. I will also add to this, man, because it's kind of cool and exciting. So I mentioned that I got one of those Fender pedal boards.
Yes.
I really like it. It's a great pedal board. And super, super affordable, which I was a little bit shocked about, frankly, because of how well it's actually made. The only problem is the brace. There's this plastic molded brace on the back that will hold your power unit in, so you don't have to drill holes into it and all that business. It's really pretty clever. It was designed specifically for the Fender engine room power units, but it's adjustable, so you can put basically any power unit in there and it should work. Mm-hmm. The only problem is it'll fit the engine room 12 like really snugly, which is really long. If you have a smaller unit, the ends tend to like cramp down a little bit, and it'll hold it in place. It's not going to go anywhere. But if you try to plug in your power unit, it pushes it back. And I was like, this stinks. This is a design flaw. It's so great. This is the only thing. And I tried all kinds of different ways. There's some like sticky stuff, and I'm like, man, I don't want to gum it all up.
Could you put a giant spring behind it?
It has springs on it.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, it is a well-designed thing. It just, for whatever reason, this is its only flaw that I can see. Well, guess what? Flint Effects, I designed something that will keep any power unit you have in place. Oh. If you're interested, contact me.
Oh, man, 3D printer, baby.
You know it.
What's it called?
The
Fender plug.
No. What was it? It's
the F plug.
F bomb.
I think it was the clamper. Because like the Stomper.
Is it clamper?
Is it clamper?
I love the clamper.
Yeah. Anyways, it works perfect. And it was crazy because I made a paper model. I'm like, I need to make this. And I was like, this is awesome. So.
Look at you.
Yeah. Man. I love doing that stuff. It's fantastic. Anyways.
Boy, your high school math teacher would be so proud.
Oh, no. I still can't do math. For those of you out there that are wondering, I failed algebra 4 times.
Yes.
Dang.
I even cheated my way through the first algebra course. You want to hear how I did it? It's kind of ingenious. Zach, just say yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this was the first time when I took it. I was like,
kids, if you're listening at home, do not try this in high school.
Don't try this at home. But I had they said, oh, you can have a calculator. I was like, what? A calculator?
I know what you're gonna do.
I had a black calculator. And I always liked to put my name on things, because my things, this is mine, you can't have it. And all I had, I couldn't find a pen, and it was I asked the teacher. I said, "Do you have a pen?" And I'm like, I don't know what pen's going to show up on black. And he said, what do you can't write on the back. I'm like, oh, give me a red pen. I'm thinking red's going to stand out. It didn't, and it was also dry erase. And I couldn't see it. I'm looking straight at it, and I couldn't see it. And I was like, this is stupid. It doesn't work. And I went to put it down, and the light hit it, and I was like, oh, I can see it. Nobody else can, though. I'm going to write all the answers down on the back of my calculator in disappearing dry erase red pen. And I did. And I still failed.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dummy.
Yeah. That's what I got. Anyways, I was very good in English, so that balanced it out.
Well, that's good.
So let's move onward and upward, shall we?
Please.
All right. We need to first check in with Tour Gear Designs.
Yes.
You know what? They've got something new over there.
What's
They
that?
got one of these newfangled things over there.
What is it?
It is a 72-inch TRS cable.
72-inch. That's
72
6
inches.
feet.
Dang.
Yeah, so that means you're doing some heavy-duty switcheroning.
Wow.
From your pedal board, I guess, to your amp, maybe? Probably.
know.
That's what I suspect.
That's what you'd have to do. That's
Or
crazy.
Your expression pedal. or
your
something.
expression pedals, something that requires that. Yes. Yes, indeed. Anyways,
That's crazy talk.
it is crazy talk. But it just goes to show you, it's like it's still their same product. You can go from 72 to 24 to 18 to 12 to 6 to 4.
Let me
to
ask
3.
you this.
Oh, I forgot 8.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you go to their website,
You can.
tourgeardesigns.com,
Yes.
and you load up your shopping cart, and you put one of these 72-inch crazy cables, and if you type in the coupon code, the guitar knobs, will you still get 10% off?
Not only will you get 10% off, you will get 10% off.
That's almost 20%.
So go over to tourgeardesigns.com and check out this newfangled TRS cable that's 72 inches long. And while you're being wowed and amazed, fill your cart up full of patch cables that you need for your own pedal board. Thanks to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Zach Broyles!
Wait a minute.
What?
Uh-huh.
Doesn't Jared need to do something?
What?
It's time for 4 on the floor.
What was that?
That was great.
That's a new 4 on the floor song.
Wait, no, the other one. The other
No.
one's better. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Do the other one.
Give me a little bit of this.
That was nasty.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
Zach Broyles. Mythos Pedals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What is your 4 on the floor? Newly updated from several years ago.
So you said no Mythos, so I've been good. I've got the Keeley Katana. One of my favorite clean boosts, and this one, it's some special edition. Robert Keeley does a lot of special editions, but this one's like a nice teal color, and it's got a light blue and white print. I love this thing. Has a pull. Maybe you can hear it. Ooh, on the potentiometer for even more boost, but killer boost. Next to that, I've got a tube screamer, but not any tube screamer. I've got the 35th.
Whoa. Wait a minute.
You're
Hold
jumping.
on.
You
You're jumping.
shortchanged the heck out of that thing.
Oh, I don't know how far, how deep do I have to go here?
Deep.
To get BG deep,
Titanic.
dude. You got to go
Uh,
BG deep.
So the Katana is a dual FET Class A clean boost. That I just really like it. I like that. So the Katana is, it just has a really nice character and a nice chime without being overtly bright. It's not my favorite clean boost, but my favorite clean boost is now built by us, so I can't pick it. But I do think the Katana is just incredible. It has a nice compression and just an honesty to the boost that doesn't sound. Sometimes simple transistor-based circuits kind of sound harsh, or a little rough around the edges, or they don't really sound like a tube being pushed sometimes, depending on how the circuit is arranged. But this has a charge pump in it, so it's running at really high headroom internally, and it just sounds like your amp got louder, and then the more you turn up the volume, the amount of push and compression and things that happens in the pedal, and also doubly with the amp, it just feels right under the fingers. And that's the thing that with any pedal, but mainly a boost or a drive or a fuzz, it's got to feel right under my left hand. Or I can't.
So
I agree with that.
Is this an all on or just a lead type of thing?
I don't believe in always on pedals.
Okay.
I believe they exist.
I want you to believe.
But I think that your amp should do all the heavy lifting. And then pedals are just there for an accent. So I would use a clean boost like the Katana, just for a little bit of a volume bump or a kick in the pants or the teeth, depending on how much volume is set, to push the amp or subsequently the next pedal a little bit further. But I think always on pedals, unless you are using a purely clean platform, if you need that, I think you probably need a better amp or an amp that gets you there. But that's just like my opinion, man. So
Sure. Well, that is an interesting point, and I think it is a great discussion because I know that there's some pedals. I understand what you're saying in theory. I will say that much in the way that if you put like like my setup right now, I've got a Critter Blues Breaker version pedal going into the Blammo Vermin, and I can't get that same sound out of that Vermin without, and it doesn't mean the Vermin is lacking. It just means I'm getting something that I wasn't suspecting out of that. So having that in front is like, I think you can definitely get things that might be a surprise you're not expecting. It can also make it sound like crap too. So you do have to play around with it.
I think a lot of people, the term always on, like I could get a boost for if there's a disparity between like your pickup output,
right,
or something like that. But a lot of people consider like overdrives always on. It's like that is their bass tone, and unless your bass tone, BASE tone, is not normal, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but if you just need a slightly push sound or a little bit more of a different EQ or something, then to me, that sort of idea of an always on thing. Now, like pairing, that's totally different. And especially, I don't know what the Vermin is. I assume it's probably
it's a rat based clone. Yeah, I mean, I totally understand the pairing and stacking thing. My point was that when you are taking something foreign to the thing that you're using and making it do something a little different, that can be a fun thing.
Oh yeah, and I like experimenting with stuff. I mean, I have more pedals than I'd like to admit, but
you can admit it on air right now. How many do you have? No,
probably like 150 or so. I mean, it's not that many compared to.
That's
I've
still
been to
very
Josh
impressive.
Scott's, like shop, and I've seen his thing, and it's like crazy. But for me, it's all in service of my guitar playing, and
I can understand what you're saying about like if you're running sort of a more of a clean type. I'm letting my amp do all the work, right? But you have an always on boost pedal. I understand that argument of like, well, do you actually really need that? Is that really doing anything? Yeah,
it's just my thing, because I very much, even though I build pedals and I love pedals and I use pedals, more often than not, if you said, hey, Zach, you've got half an hour to go play guitar, I'm not going to grab a pedal. I'm going to grab a cable and my guitar and an amp, and I'm going to turn it up as loud as I'm allowed and just play. Because I feel very fortunate for my amp collection, but my amps, I adore them, and I feel like I'm doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
Unless I'm playing them really quiet by throwing like a gain pedal in front of them when their gain it sounds so remarkable by itself.
Yeah. I think it's a really interesting thing to think about chronologically if we see where like the pedal explosion happened,
Right.
where that does coincide very much with sort of the volume wars of like gigging, of more people living in apartments and stuff like that, and not as many lockout places to play. Those just they hardly exist anymore, and trying to get that sound that is like a totally driven amp where it's just shaking the windows, but without shaking the windows and without having to resolve to just throwing on a pair of headphones or something.
Right. Well, it's funny, most of my friends who gig or even practice a lot, we've all switched, and even me at home, I use digital stuff because it just sounds better for those volumes.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
But that, again, that's just me. I'm an interesting guy in my gear philosophies compared to most people. I think I don't know. I definitely
I get it.
go with the flow.
I get it.
Cool.
I get it.
How about number 2?
Yes.
Number 2. So I jumped forward. I jumped the shark a bit. Tube Screamer, but not any Tube Screamer. It's the 35th anniversary, which for the real nerds out there, it's the Narrow Box 808.
Nice.
Which has like lines on the side and the Ibanez flying finger, the finger with like the butterfly wings.
Nice.
This one's interesting. It's got an op amp. It's got 2 op amps. The normal one that everyone knows about inside a Tube Screamer. And then it has another one that is the input and output buffers. Guess what? It sounds basically the same. But I got one of these at the Amigo Guitar Show, and I just think it's super rad, so I grabbed it. And I use a Screamer mainly as like a low gain push and more of a like a focusing effect, not kind of like what a metal guy would do, but mainly just to jump out in a mix, and not necessarily for the gain sound, but just for that sort of honk. And unlike a lot of people, I think a Tube Screamer works with everything, humbuckers, Marshalls, Vox, it doesn't matter. I like that pedal into most amps you throw it into. It doesn't just have to be a black panel Fender with a Strat. Because I mean, all like so many classic records were made with a Tube Screamer somewhere in the signal chain. I just adore that circuit.
And so what model of the Screamer was this one?
This is the 35th anniversary.
Ah, that's what I didn't catch. Yes.
Yeah. So Ibanez will do anniversary models on occasion. And this one, it looks like a normal 808, but it's slightly skinnier. It has a different back. It doesn't have like a rubber backing. It's a replica of what the very, very, very first one
with the square button.
Still has a square button.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
cool.
It's just a Tube Screamer inside. It's just got a slightly different circuit.
Yeah, neato. It is it's a handsome pedal.
It's great. I mean, like, yeah, we could talk about the rebrand of Mythos later if you want, but like the aesthetic of Ibanez and Maxon and Boss too from that era, the late 70s, early 80s is I think they're some of the coolest looking pedals ever made. So
yeah,
it's just what I love.
I am a fan of the Maxon, the silver rocker pedal. With the silver foot switch with the ridges and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love those. Yes. Alrighty. What's number 3?
So number 3, we're going old again. I've got my vintage CE2 that I've modded, and I don't. If you said, Zach, you got a gig tonight, you can grab some pedals, this would be like my wild card pedal, which is it's so tame compared to what most people would say. I'm gonna get something weird. This is about as weird as I can get, but I went on a bit of a bender a couple of years ago, just buying every vintage pedal that I'd ever wanted within reason. I wasn't buying everything, but
it's fun to do that.
It is. And Reverb, and especially Japan, if you see what's in Japan, you can get really good deals on this stuff. But this one, it's a Taiwanese one, but it's still old. They're basically the same PCB inside, but I modded it to have a little bit more speed and depth, and it just sounds so good. You put the rate all the way down and the depth all the way up, and it just takes your sound and makes it a little bit wider. And you can do the faux Leslie thing, the rotary thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's such a cool effect that, especially when you use it in a subtle way, it's not blatantly obvious what you have going on, but you notice when it's gone. I really like those sort of things.
So this is an always-on pedal for you?
No. No. When I have gigged in the past and I use these sort of things, it's like something you turn on in a chorus. Well, I'm not trying to speak ironically, but like in the chorus of a song or something to just add a little flow, just to fatten things up. Or if you have a part that's seemingly pretty sparse, or you need to fill up space and just add some movement without getting too silly with delay or reverb.
Mm-hmm.
I like using some sort of simple modulation in that sort of context. But to be honest, I haven't played a gig and I can't even remember the last gig I played. So maybe I'm speaking out of turn.
No.
But I love, like, again, old Boss and Ibanez stuff and Maxon stuff is my favorite.
It is fun.
pedals ever.
How about number 4?
Well, speaking to the vintage Ibanez thing, I have a vintage Ibanez AD80. So the AD80 is the precursor to the 89, which is the iconic analog delay that everyone knows, the little pink Japanese Ibanez box. But this looks like
With the shaky font.
Yeah, it's got a really interesting font on it. But this was a birthday present to myself. I got a few years ago. It's 18 volts, and it just sounds. It just has this complexity and dirtiness to the repeats, and seemingly always going to run away from you, but it doesn't. And that, I mean, it's why I made my Oracle the way we made it. But these sort of delay circuits just have a personality and a character that when I'm looking for a delay, I don't want it to get in the way. I want it to be just underneath my guitar playing and not ever an obstruction or anything like that. I want it just to kind of live
with you
underneath.
on that for sure.
Yeah, there's nothing more infuriating to me than, especially an analog style delay, that the mix is, you can't dial it out. So this one to me is just.
That's what I don't
just
like
perfect.
about like MXR phasers and stuff. It's just on.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
They're pretty obtrusive, but these old 80s and the Maxon ones too are just really great.
And it's like, it's hot pink, man, and it's cool looking.
Yeah, like the colors are just perfect. So
yeah, I dig it. That's a nice lineup, man.
yeah,
We approve.
a little bougie, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I could have mentioned my Klon, but I don't know. That's a really bougie getting that.
Yeah, well, you just did, so congratulations.
Yay! He's a jerk.
Well, wait, let's have 2 jerks on.
Yeah.
My clown.
You guys can have a clown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the Klon.
So, Zach, last time we talked, so let's go back. We'll go back one step further. As you mentioned before, you started up your show and by show I mean your pedal building show, production business. Help me with the words, Tony. Don't just look at me like, geez, I hope he fails. Yeah.
What?
You got Willy Wonka over here. Please, no.
No. Stop.
Please.
No, Todd. Stop words.
Anyways, you started building those pedals in 2017, and we had you on the show. I mean, as soon as I saw those, we called you up, and we had you on. And it was a great conversation. It was really neat to talk to somebody who literally was just in the beginning stages of creating what you've now created. We had you on a couple times since then, and it's been a few years, and we've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, officially, started building in 2010, but then I left my full-time job at Carter in 2017 to pursue this full-time. So it's been a wild ride since then.
Mm-hmm.
Has there ever been any doubt in your mind about, doing the pedal thing for a living? Any shred of doubt at any time whatsoever?
Are you kidding? Every moment of every day. You saw me. You came by the shop, and you mentioned when I had the video going how white my beard is. I'm how old am I? 38, almost 39. I'm going to be white-headed, pretty quick, because it's the hardest thing I've ever done. It's been incredibly rewarding, and I feel so fortunate for what, Mythos as a brand and what we've all done to get to this place. But I feel like, and this is just maybe it's my own psychosis or something, but it always feels like, because the world is so volatile and gear ebbs and flows in and out of favor all the time, like every day, you'll see something online. You're like, oh man, I haven't thought about that in ages. And that is my greatest fear. I don't want to be, where did Mythos go? And so that sort of feeling it's always in the back of my head, and it's not always eating at me, but it does. And yeah, it's something I think about very often.
And those who are keeping score and want to go back, episode number 48. 48. Wow. That is a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's Zach's first appearance in 2017.
And that's also when the first gotta have the name read on the thing. That's when that came out as well.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
It's at every episode now. It's
a
while back.
Yeah. So how do you find yourself ensuring that? Or I'm going to back that up. It's one thing to recognize that, and I think that is one of the foibles of doing something where you're like, I'm going to do this. And then that, for many people that we have on the show, and I would even say maybe ourselves included, excluding yourself because you've already said that, that does become, to a certain degree, part of your own identity.
Right.
And how do you balance the health of that yourself?
Just dealing with that sort of unwavering fear, sort of how do I deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the fear and as you're growing, as you're expanding, how much of you is becoming that, how much of that is becoming you, kind of thing.
Right. Well, I feel like the thing that always keeps me in check is the community, because I think anybody that makes anything, you get so focused on the looking down at what you're doing, you can't see the people who are actually enjoying what you're making. And since I've taken a step back from making and just running and designing and doing all the operations of everything, I see it not as much as I was like, but when I really dive into social media and do events, it kind of resets my brain to remind me that, oh no, this is okay. Everything's going well. Everyone's fed. My employees are paid. Like things are good. And it reminds me why I do it, because you see the excitement when people play stuff, or if I get to go to a show, which is infrequent, and people are using Mythos pedals, and I get to hear people make music with it, then that's just very reaffirming that, no, this is worth it, and you're just freaking out not for no reason, but let's just take a step back from this worrisome thought all the time.
Nice.
I think,
but I'm just an anxious guy. I'm pretty. I've always been like that, and it's something that you just kind of have to be aware of, and you can't be complacent in those things. You have to just kind of work at it,
Well, yeah. For an example, you and I did we had a pickup project 2 or 3 years ago, and through that process, whether it worked or not, I really respect I really liked how you didn't accept anything other than what you really wanted. And you don't settle for, well, you just don't settle. I have respect for people that look for the thing until they actually find the thing that they want.
Yeah. And it's a blessing and a curse, but,
Yeah.
and it's hard to, say those things, especially people you are friends with and admire and respect, to say, no, it wasn't doing it. And that's me to myself. And that's something that anytime I've collaborated with anybody, doing pedals for artists or stores or just for another release, it has to be good enough for me. And I have to want to play it. And there have been multiple things that stores have suggested and will prototype, and everyone around me will say, that sounds awesome. When can we move it on to the next phase? And I just look at it and go, it's not there. It's not mine. It's someone else's. And part of me is letting go of that a bit, in that respect, for, when I am doing a collaboration or something, but it's still, I always think about when I worked at Carter, it was really hard for me to accept that, because of all the work we did for doing videos and Instagram and redoing the website and all this stuff and these great accomplishments that we had. I always felt like they were for me, but they weren't. It wasn't my name over the door, and it would never be my name over the door. And that took a long time for me to realize. But learning that, I realized that with Mythos, it is my name. And if it's not true to me, then what am I doing?
Yeah. That's a very good point. I think that's a good, what you want to call it?
I call it a philosophy.
A philosophy. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony.
I'm here with the words.
Yeah.
I'm thumbing through the dictionary as we speak.
Been around a minute. You read a lot.
So
time on the pot,
Yeah, exactly. So what has been going on at Mythos? I mean, I know that you've moved from one space, moved out of your extra room in the apartment to a workspace, and now you're in a larger space.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Why don't we talk a little bit about the expansion and how things are going that direction?
Sure. I think the last time I saw, I didn't see Todd, but I saw, the rest of you guys. Was it summer? It was Summer NAMM?
Yeah.
And what was that? 2018?
I think we actually shared a brief passing glance at NAMM.
We did
a couple months ago.
What? Yeah, right. Yes.
We were both right in the middle of stuff.
That's right.
Yes.
I was in dipped in tone responsibilities, but that last time I think I was still building out of my apartment, or maybe I was in our house, and so I was building in my garage, and we bought our house in, I guess, 2019, and then in early 2020 I booked a trip to go to England to do that pedal show and Anderton's. Mm-hmm. And we went. I did all the things. We heard about this thing called COVID, and when we were in Heathrow, and we flew back like the second week of March, before.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Right before the lockdown.
Literally, like days before they shut it all down, and we got home, and I thought, well, I'm just gonna take it easy, gonna get my shop in order, reassess, and then a couple weeks later, all the videos dropped, and my world was set on its head, because I went from having production of, maybe 100 a month, which is, for one person, it was manageable.
That's good.
It was great, but it just grew and grew and grew. And so all of 2020 into 2021 was just me in the garage most every day. And that was rough. My wife forced me to start taking, time off and at least spending Saturdays with the family. Because for a while, I'd say at least 6 months, I worked every day. anytime I wasn't eating or hanging with the kiddo when he got up or went to bed, I was pretty much out there, and it was exhausting. So in 2021, I hired my first employee or helper. He wasn't really a full-fledged employee. That was Jesse Rue from Rude Tech, and he helped me.
He was great.
Yeah, Jesse's awesome. He's an incredible guy, a remarkable
hell of
builder.
a pedal too. The big one he put out there.
Yeah, he's awesome. Way too smart to be working for me, but he worked with me in the garage, and then I had made friends with all the people at Novo, and Matthew Timmons, their GM at the time. They were expanding, and he said, "Hey, you need to get out of your house because it's killing you. And you rent this space, we'll make you a good deal." And so we did. And we moved there, hired some more people, and quickly outgrew the space. I had like one production room, and I had an office in a glorified closet, and then rented another room. And even that, it was only like 600 something square feet, like all in. Pretty small. But Matthew was wanting to make a move just in life and in general. Novo was growing by leaps and bounds, and he missed the small like team thing where every day was you're excited about what you're working on. It's not a numbers game or a production game where you can make anything at that point when it's just you've got to meet quotas and fill orders.
Meet their quotas.
Right. And like, I'm not trying to be disparaging to anyone doing that. That's part of having a business. I mean, that's kind of what we do now, but we're all a much smaller team and really passionate. And I needed a space. And so unbeknownst to me, every day when I was driving down to Airlane Drive, where Novo is by the airport in Nashville, I passed this billboard that said warehouse space for rent. And finally, I noticed it. And we got in touch with someone helping us find property with this space. And it's just like 20 minutes from my house, no traffic, just back roads. And we have 2,000 square feet. And Matthew came to work for me. And now he's running all the business part. And I'm desperately trying to grow the brand and the business and the awareness and do all the YouTube and the podcasts and all those things that a business has to do these days, I think, to stay relevant. But that's kind of, and in that time, I did like a revamp of the look. I killed Zeus. He's no longer on the pedals. And then I changed the art. And so now everything, it finally feels like a brand. It feels like a real aesthetic is kind of dialed in, and we have an identity where someone sees it and doesn't go, is that Earthquaker? Is that Walrus? No, it's Mythos. Now based off the look, which is way more simple, but it's more true to, again, who I am as a builder and stuff.
That's totally fair.
Great.
Yeah.
Now that you've gone out of, I guess, the building, I was so close to saying pushing the pixels, which is what I would do in how I would refer to that in
that's what
in
I do
my
now.
line of work, right? Yeah. Now you're pushing. So in my line of work, I became a expert pixel pusher, and then I was like, nope. Now you're going to lead all the pixel pushers. In that role. What are some of the things that you have found to be most challenging? Not necessarily from this is hard, but maybe from a either a self-guidance or a self-discipline aspect.
Yeah, I think some of the hardest things for me is just I was so used to having my hands in everything. And being there was no inventory system except me. Production, planning, marketing. It was all me. And now I'm having to let go of a lot of that, which takes a lot of trust and a lot of patience. And sometimes, employees don't get it right and you have to learn and grow. But it's kind of hard for me to not know all those things anymore. I still do the ordering and stuff, but I just get a sheet. He's like, hey, we need this stuff. And it's not me going out there and counting or checking. It's all in a computer, which is, how it should have been done years ago. But you have to.
Do you have a big gold pocket watch that you walk around looking at all the time just to make people move faster?
Yeah, I look at it through my monocle, and I swing my cane when the solder joints are cold and stuff like that. The hardest thing about all of this is
Hey, boys, no bread for you.
Here's your Mythos bucks. One of the hardest things is letting go of like my standards for building, and not that the guys don't build things correctly or up to a standard. It's just I was a machine at doing this stuff. Like I said, I went from making 100 to making like 400 or so a month.
Wow.
And so
Let's break that down a second. Hey, hold on. So if you're working, let's say 6 days a week.
Yeah.
6 days a week. Matt, you do the math. Tony, you do the math because I just remember how I said I took algebra 4 times. You don't want me doing this. 6 days a week.
Yes.
So that's times 4 is 24. So 400 divided by 24
Yes.
is, do you know what that is?
16 and a half ish. 16.6 repeating.
16?
Right? 400 divided by 24?
400 divided by 24.
16.6.
Did I do that? I messed up the math again, didn't I? I've done this
No,
on,
that's right.
on another show before.
It's 16.6 infinity.
Yeah. No, that's right. It's not.
So you had to build 16 pedals per day
Yeah.
consistently for.
Well, 16 and a half.
Well, 16 and 2/3.
And in all that time, I was changing up how things were made so it could be more efficient, and I was redoing all my processes. It never stopped. It was always like new revision, new layout, new jack placement, those sort of things, just to make my life easier. But it got to the point where I was batching, 50 to 100 at a time, and just trying to stay ahead. And a lot of those things too then were like Wildwood Mjolnirs, which I was still making through hole, which I put every single part in and soldered every one. And there was, a couple.
Well, we
hundred
had
solder
that
joints.
one episode where you're like, all right, I think I'm about to go. Do I stay through hole or do I go board?
Surface.
And we tested that out, and we had an actual whole episode talking about that.
Yeah. And that, it was climbing uphill in sand for all that time.
Yeah.
And it I got through it, but it was really hard. It was really hard. And to the point where, I had to have serious conversations with Morgan. Like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I spent a lot of time on the phone.
Were you losing heart?
Oh yeah. And just exhausted, working from, I'd usually get up at 6, and then be in the garage at 7:30, and then, have lunch and a few breaks throughout the day, minor. But I usually work till midnight or 1 a.m., like almost every day.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of live streaming to connect with people, and just to have someone to talk to, because we had a little kid, and so Morgan was busy with him, and then she was tired from chasing a child all day, so she couldn't come out at night. So it was just a lot of me in the garage doing live streams, talking to my phone, and just trying to keep my head above water.
Yeah.
And so like letting go of that, and letting go of my standard I set for production and for just the quality of work was really hard. When my guys would build a batch and like, oh, hey, there's 2 that don't work. It's like, why do they not work? Why do the other ones work and these don't work? It's really hard to have those conversations, because in my mind, it's like, I know what I did wrong. Why do these not work?
Right.
And why are these wires bent? Why is their insulation melted? Why does the solder flux all burnt? Like, the little things that you have to, some of it you can work on, and some of it you just have to let go.
Yeah.
Can I interject here with
Yes.
To make you feel better, my friend? Where I work at Gibson, the pickup shop, so we make well over 1,000 pickups a day.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of scrap because we have a pretty good quality program, and it's a certain percentage, but it's eye opening. Even a small percent of how much room in a big box that scrap parts that don't work take. It's jaw dropping.
Yeah.
So if I can ever get you in there, if we're allowed to ever give people a tour, I mean, you'll be able to see that.
Yeah.
And what it looks like when you walk through there, and I think you'll just feel a lot better.
Well, and a lot of it,
Honestly.
a lot of it is just, sometimes it's not anyone's fault. It's just a board has a crap part and you don't know. And it is surface mount. And so you have to like put it on
solder.
or you have to put it on an oscilloscope and go, oh, this capacitor doesn't work.
Right.
So sometimes it's just those things. But we're making moves to get everything a little bit more efficient. And all that. We actually lost one of our builders today. He's going to work at Carter.
Whoa, that's weird.
Yeah, but it's good for him. It's probably a better fit because sitting there and building pedals. Anyone that says, are you hiring? I like to build pedals. It's like, no. Do you like to do the same thing for 10 hours straight? That's the thing that most people don't get, and it's not for everybody, and that's okay.
I do think if you. And I'm sure this is like the kind of environment that you are probably trying to build if you don't already have it. But it's one thing to say, do you want to sit by yourself and do something for 10 hours a day? But if you have an environment that makes you say like, but I'm doing it there.
Right.
Like that's all that makes every difference in the world.
Right. Yeah. We definitely have. It's this is lighthearted. If you guys have talked to Matthew, he's
super easygoing dude.
He is the biggest cheerleader of anything I've ever met. He's so positive and like supportive, and I mean, I'm so glad that he decided to come this way because I needed someone like that in my circle. Making sure that I wasn't worrying myself more. And this makes me sound like I'm just this Eeyore, like sad sack, and I'm not.
No, you're just being a realist, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being brutally honest because I feel like these are conversations that a lot of people don't know about or have. So,
you just talked about taking that leap from, hey, I'm doing this thing and I own it and I run it and I came up with it and these are all my pedals, and there is a sense of ownership, there's a sense of control, there's a sense of pride that can keep you grounded and kind of high at the same time.
Yeah.
A lot of builders out there, and like let's point this at all the builders who are at that stage where you were, are probably going, how do I get to the next level? Or they're just maybe blindly going to the next level, which is okay too. You got to do what you got to do in life. You got to grab it, man.
Oh yeah.
But that transition stage, you kind of can lose your sense of self. You can lose your sense of control. You can lose possibly your sense of purpose if you're not careful. Yeah. What advice do you have for people who might be trying to get out of those early stages that you were in?
Oh yeah. One of the things that I have always thought is just surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, and be able to let go of the things that you're really not good at. It's a huge pill to swallow to admit that you need help when you've always done something yourself from a business standpoint. And admittedly, it's very hard because if you've never started an LLC or hired employees or gone through, set up payroll.
That's and like, right there enough is to make you want to quit.
Exactly. It's so nerve-wracking. But if you can find that group, be it working for you or not, who can help with those things, hold on to that, and just embrace that sort of thing and admit, hey, I can take a pay cut to make my life easier, because when it's just you and you see the coffers growing and where the money's going and all that stuff, it's hard to let go. And I think a lot of people, if you're a small business and it's just you, or maybe you and a few other people, and you don't have that sort of thing, it's the next step you have to take for someone to really run a business and grow, is someone to really manage like the things that Matthew does. And not everybody is going to necessarily need a Matthew, but in other ways, like taking the next step, you just have to you have to invest in yourself, whatever that is. If it's investing in your business, if it's investing in your own like mental health and well-being, you have to take all those risks and not be afraid to fail. As Jared knows, I bought pickup winders and stuff because I thought, I want to make pickups. I'm going to do it myself. And guess what? I suck at it because I don't know how to make pickups. But I bought everything to do it because I was hungry and had to try. And you never know what's going to stick. So you just have to be willing to take that risk.
I really respect you for at least lifting the stone up and looking under it instead of just skipping by it.
Jared, that was the most profound thing you've ever said in your entire life.
Thanks. Seriously, man, it takes a lot of guts to just even try it.
Yeah.
And it's, those are the things that you don't have to accept failure, but you can't be afraid of it, and I think that's a thing when you're growing as a business, that uncertainty and failure it's the last thing you want to ever like have to think about. But those are the things that are going to make you take the steps that will get you to the next level. And
yeah. I mean, you really have to think, don't you think it's worth your time? Don't you know that things can change? Things will go your way if you hold on for one more day.
Yeah. You just got to hold on.
You're welcome for that. I think just one more thing on this note, because I do think it's a very interesting place, and so many people, whether they're pedal builders, guitar builders, amp builders, or not even in our little universe, we know lots of people who are endeavoring things. But I know several people that the more they get themselves into, the more pies they have their fingers in, the less they are willing to trust others to be able to do it the way that they've done it up to this point.
Yeah.
And that can be very either paralyzing, or it can totally crush your desire, because it's taking so much effort to do all these things that you think you want to do that maybe you don't actually need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the, I feel really, I'm glad that the guitar pedal community in particular is so supportive. It's some like other things in the guitar space sometimes can feel a little cliquey, but the pedal builder space, usually people are so supportive, and it's not hard to reach out to these people and talk to them. So, and this is applicable to any industry or anything that anyone out there is trying to do. You just have to like start poking and prodding, because most people will be very honest and receptive to questions. And when I was growing and had all these growing pains and stuff, I spent a lot of time on the phone with Josh Scott and Robert Keeley and all these people, just asking like, hey, like, how do you do this? What should I do? What do you do? And just to kind of inform decisions, because if you've never done it, how in the world do you know what to do next?
Stand on the shoulder of giants.
That's right. But a quote, to paraphrase a story real quick from Adam Savage, Mythbuster fame, Tested. I went and saw him at a con recently, and someone asked a question about like doing things you've never done before. And what he said was how he approaches everything. And I think this is so like, it's so good for people to think about things this way, is that if you know how to take the first step, just take it. And by the time you're done with that step, you'll probably have enough knowledge that you've learned along the way to take the next step and then the next step, and know that there's no deadline or time frame. You just have to start taking the steps. And hopefully by the time you're done, you will have learned enough to complete whatever project you're trying to do. And I think that's a really important way to live your life. And again, don't be afraid to fail, but also so many people, you know, they'll say, I know how to do this, but I don't know how to do the next thing. So they never take that first step.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting you just brought that up, because I ran across a quote that I'd seen several times before, but I recalled it since you just brought this up. I believe, don't throw rocks at me, but I believe it is by a Chinese philosopher named Liu Zhang. I could be wrong, but it is the journey of 1,000 years begins with one step.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Or it's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah. Yes. Jared style. Yes.
When Zach was
One
talking
bite.
about taking the first step, I was thinking about Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade when they were taking that first step over that they thought they were going to fall, but there's like a hidden pathway across the gorge or whatever the
Oh, yeah.
They threw the sand on it.
Yeah, you got to have a
yeah.
bag of sand in your Australian mail carrier bag.
exactly the leather.
Julia, what are you doing? Anyways, all right.
So Zach, looks like you've got about a dozen pedals in the lineup right now.
Yeah,
I like the
what-
red one.
What okay.
I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Yeah.
What have you got cooking on the burners right now?
Well, I mentioned the CE2 and the 4 on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on a chorus that is CE2 inspired. That's really exciting. Chasing a little bit of noise. I'm like, I mean, if you haven't gathered by now, I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
No.
So I have to let go of some hiss and things that are just inherent to circuits, because sometimes different chipsets just make different noise. But working on that, hopefully we'll have something final for that really soon. But doing some signature stuff, some secret things. I've already said too much. But we're working on a Univibe. We're going to be at NAMM this coming year, have our own booth, do the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
But
I will do more than exchange a look. I will
Yeah,
stop
all right.
by and exchange a look.
you can come take a hat or a key ring or but what else are we doing? Gosh, there's so much.
When I was there, I was really I was all hyped up about the Hephaestus.
Oh, Hephaestus.
Hephaestus, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's a pretty awesome pedal. And in backing up to the chorus, I got to hear a touch of that, and that's pretty awesome too. But
Thank you.
the Hephaestus, man, it's.
Tell us about the Hephaestus.
jazzed up. Yeah, tell me about the Hephaestus.
The Hephaestus.
Hephaestus, I'm sorry.
Hephaestus.
What-
He's the smith of the
Hephaestus.
the smith of the gods. He made Zeus's lightning bolt.
Nice.
So there's still a theme, you know. But the Hephaestus started life as a Jordan Boss tone circuit, which is the Spirit in the Sky fuzz, the little plastic box you plug in your guitar. Those are cool, wildly inconsistent. And I was trying to do a version of that, but I was desperately trying to make it more interesting, because the gain knob on that circuit is dumb. It's like redundant with your guitar pot. The volume is a volume knob, so like, you know, who cares? That's cool, but it just wasn't doing enough. And so I started poking and prodding at a prototype board with a potentiometer with some wires on it, and shoved these wires in a spot that's on the power input and adjusted the voltage of the circuit. And when I did that with a very specific transistor, it introduced a sub-octave and then lower harmonics, like a perfect fourth.
Wow.
And so you go from, it has a warning knob, which is just voltage. And so when it's all the way to the right, all the way up, it's a normal boss tone circuit. You know, it's not super
It's totally
bougie.
blown out.
It just sounds like Spirit in the Sky, like a big fuzz, a classic fuzz sort of sound. It sounds awesome. But then when the knob, the warning knob goes to about 1 o'clock, and it's different with every guitar, it's different with every pedal, but you hear the note go like, and it'll drop.
Oh, like my burps.
It's pretty awesome.
And so I call it the anti-Octavia. So you just have this, it almost sounds like a synth is like playing along with you.
Right.
It's very strange, but it is very musical.
It's a thing.
And as soon as you play it, you start like, oh, like this could be like this sort of song. You start writing riffs and you start writing music, and it's not weird for just the sake of being weird. It's very inspiring, and it's all analog. It's just like it's a really, it's a simple mod, but I've never heard any fuzz pedal sound like this. And I've explained what it's doing a little bit, but I've never told anybody the gain range of the transistor to make it happen. So that is part of the secret that I'll keep for myself. But it's a very interesting little circuit.
So can you talk a little bit about the gain range of the?
No, God, you gotta try one of these, man. It's just screaming your name.
We'll get one in the mail to you when we get restocked. It is very it's a really unique thing, but it's one of those pedals that when you have anybody that has an inkling to try one, if you get one, try it with the warning knob all the way up and just hold the note. And then when you turn the knob down, when that octave drops, it just makes you go like, like you can't help but like giggle about it, because it's otherworldly. And if you turn the warning knob all the way to the left, the fuzz kind of goes away, but all the harmonics and the octave becomes a little more present.
Yeah.
And even throughout all that, if you roll your volume knob back on your guitar, it cleans up like a fuzz face.
Yeah.
So
Well, you just kind of touched on a few things that are the exciting things for me playing around with drives, stacking, and stuff like that, where you're getting the things where you're like, it's sort of either an anomaly or something you're not expecting, or something that's not supposed to be there.
right.
And to me, those are the exciting things when you play and you're like, I'm getting something that I know won't come straight out of just if I just plug this one box in, or if I do plug this one box in, and now I know that I have it. I got a pedal from Hello Sailor sent me this crazy pedal, shocker. And Joe, how's it going out there? We love you, buddy. And it's a fuzz face that looks like it was painted with that stuff. You know, the guy who sails on the boat that's got a screen door in the bottom of it. He cuts a hole in the boat and he sprays this stuff on a screen door, and he's like, look, it floats.
Yeah.
It looks like it's
the Flex Seal.
Yes, it looks like it's painted in that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this thing? And he's got these 70s car knobs on it, and it's in a fuzz face enclosure. It's huge. And I look in the back, and there's like, it's all these UK naval parts, and I'm like, what is this? I was expecting it to sound exactly what I expected. I had it on my shelf for a while, and I had this idea for a song recently. And I was like, man, I'm looking at my pedals. I'm like, I'm not seeing the thing that and I looked over and I said, wait a minute. And I grabbed that and I plugged it in, and it does the thing that I can't get anything else to do.
Right.
And it was exactly what I was needing. And it just has that extra ness to it that doesn't make sense necessarily. And it has these overtones and goofy harmonics and stuff going on. And those things excite me. And the same thing with when I mentioned pairing pedals. The sounds that I was getting out of that combo that I told you was like, I've tried to pull single pedals to see if it has that same exact sound. I can't get it.
Right. It's one of the things that anybody that doesn't live in this space, they'll go, well, how can you still sell these things, you know? And it's because everyone is experiencing that in some form or fashion.
Right.
And you're just hoping that you can tap into some connection with those people and a connection with their instrument, because it's all different. It's all so different. And
it isn't just about tone either. I mean, like, let's be honest. You can get just as excited about the way that something looks, like your Susmaria Sep, or however you say that. It's like, that's an exciting pedal. And you're like, I don't know what it does, but I want to play it. And it's going to make me feel awesome.
It's the most pink thing you'll ever see in your entire life.
Yeah. Right?
It literally, Jeff, who's our main production guy now, when he was building those things, we had him on a tray under a fluorescent light in the shop, and he was just like illuminated, and he like looked up and he's like, oh, everything's green. I'm like, oh man, your rods and cones are all messed up.
That's good.
But yeah, I know the aesthetic is a big part of it, and that's something that, it's weird. So doing limited runs of things, we try to land on cool aesthetics and whatnot. We recently did this, we called it a summer vibe, and they had this like cool like wave pattern, and we were all like super hyped about it. And then like we sold a few, but I thought this is going to set the world on fire because this is the coolest looking edition we've ever done. And it's just no one connected with it. It was so strange. I thought, I don't get it. But that's how it always goes. You make something where you spend 5 minutes in Adobe Illustrator and you're like, yeah, okay, that's good enough. And then everyone says, that's the coolest looking pedal I've ever seen. And you just never know what's going to stick. But all the people, kudos to all the people who take all the time to hand paint, cut water slide decals, silk screen stuff themselves. Like, it's not for me. If people ask us, like, how do you guys do your enclosures? Like, I hire that out. Like, I'm not going to do that because
that's a lot of time, man.
It's hard. It's harder than making the pedal, I think, because the moment your drill slips or your
money down the drain,
your thumb touches the side of the enclosure. Well, you're like, well, get out the sandblaster or something, you know.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Zach, it has been a ton of fun catching up with you, my friend, and I'm very excited about the future that you are already embracing, and for the growth of the Mythos brand. It's you've come a very, very long way, and it's just awesome.
Thank you. I'm diving headfirst into YouTube land.
Oh boy,
trying to do that like so many of my friends and peers, but. It's exciting to see where we're going to go because, you know, we kind of have a vision, but we don't know. It's ever changing.
Yeah, indeed. Jared, you got something for us?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great show tonight. And it's also time for Would You Rather? This Would You Rather is from our guy, Steve Keys.
Yes. Steve the man out there.
Yeah, this is actually a really good one. You were right. It's a really good one, Todd. Josh from JHS is burnout and has decided to close up shop.
Oh no.
He walks outside and he walks outside and he sees you walking down the street and he invites you over and says, I'm done, man. You can have all my pedals and my famous white milkman amp. Just as you are about to answer, Joe Bonamassa, whose place is right across the street, he sees you coming out of JHS and says, wait, I'm done too. Touring is just not the same, and I'm going to go buy an island, and I don't need all this stuff. I don't think he'll ever say that. Would you all like all my amps and my one pedal? So, do you choose Josh from JHS's entire pedal collection and one amp, or would you rather have Joe Bonamassa's entire amp collection and one pedal?
That's a great question. And
wow.
I will say it was really cool because when Steve sent that over, he said it was it was too funny because he sent me a video and he was just like walking along and he was saying, I was like, wait, what is it? And I was trying to grab it and he accidentally sent one of those disappearing videos.
Oh no!
So it was done and there was just like a little bomb symbol. I'm like, what the hell was that? So I was like, wait,
Snooze, you lose.
What was that again? I think I got it. But it was great seeing him and talking to him, and I really appreciated that whatever he was doing, he took the time to send that to us. That means a
Nice.
lot. Thanks, man. So the big question to you, Tony,
Yes.
Tanisha.
Tons of awesome pedals and one awesome
know.
amp, or collectible Fender amps and one.
You're skewing it. You're biasing this already, Jared. I don't think you realize that, but you just totally biased it.
Yes.
Anyways.
Well, no, I guess the what are the amps that the Dumble overdrives that he has must be
Yeah.
included as well. Those are worth a ton.
That is true.
If money,
I have
if
a
money's
question.
important, yes.
Do you have to keep it all, or is this like you can do what you want with it, or you got to keep it?
I think you have to keep it.
Oh, okay.
I will
man.
take Josh's collection and open a guitar pedal museum. And so
Well-
all can enjoy.
What a fitting tribute.
Yes. Yes. I suspect that the entry for that's going to be quite steep.
No. One
Yes.
pedal.
Usurper.
Yeah, you have to-
Usurper.
You have to bring a pedal in.
Oh, yeah. Like a can of soup.
Yeah, at the end
West
we're all
Iranian
Yeah.
giant.
You're going to get a lot of Joyos to go with those cream of mushroom pedals.
Hey, take what you
Anyways,
can get.
that'd be a great pedal name, cream of mushroom, because it's just like, it's just like anyways, somebody make that.
Go with the horse meat.
There you go. Hey. All right. Let's check with Jared.
Yes. Because a lot of his amps sound the same, I'm going to go with the pedals in the one amp. I mean,
I almost
that's
choked
not-
on my Waterloo grape flavor.
I know,
You're
sparkling
saying-
water. That's
Are-
not
Jared loves
sponsored.
vintage stuff.
Are
but
you suggesting that all of Joe Bonamassa's amps sound the same?
no, many of them, like a lot of the Fenders are, some of the. I'd imagine that a lot of the Fender amps have similar circuitry,
Yeah.
They do.
and so they'll kind of sound similar in a way. But I mean, he just has them because he's one of the coolest collectors of all time of vintage gear. But I don't know. I think you just have a lot more choice of tone and sound with pedals, especially if you have to keep it all.
Well, I will say that that one of the reasons Joe tours with different amps and such, usually, I think when we saw him, Todd,
Yeah.
he had 8 amps on, 6 or 8 amps.
He did. But it
And-
wasn't just because they sounded different. I mean, he also made them sound different.
That's right. He explained to us that he would use the different amps to amplify the certain frequencies.
It was like $100,000 EQ pedal.
Yes.
That's a good start.
I mean, honestly, that's not far off,
Yeah.
right?
Well, just a Dumble amp alone is worth over 100,000, I believe. I mean, they're
Yeah,
stupid.
roundabout, yeah.
Well, I don't know, because I don't care about dumb lips.
Who
Zach,
put dumb in
Can't
Dumble?
afford to care about them anyway.
Yeah, Zach, how
Oh,
about
man.
yourself?
Oh, I pick the amps all day long. I don't.
Amps,
I've seen.
yeah.
I've
He's
seen
an amp guy.
Josh's.
Remember the first part of the story here?
I've seen all of Josh's collection, and it's so I don't like. People see it, right? And you think, man, he's got a lot of stuff. But let me tell you, the amount of stuff is the like pedals in the boxes and the multiples and everything. Like all those drawers behind him, all filled, and they're all cataloged and like it's insane. But that's not for me. The amps, like I would have more fun with all the amps. I don't know where I'd put them all, but the pedal thing, like I appreciate it and I love it. But at the end of the day, the history and all of that with what Joe's collected, I mean, if you're talking everything, I can't even fathom how many guitar amps he has, is just so cool. I mean, it's literally the history of music. Like it's remarkable.
And that therein is the rub, because you got the history of amplifiers and you also have the history of pedals.
Yeah.
That's my
Quite
museum.
literally.
But you can't just plug into a pedal and rip without an amp. So I'm very much like I would have a lot of fun picking and choosing the ones I liked and would keep in like
Yeah.
you know.
Well, you bet
that
you-
fits your style of music too, though. Let's be honest.
Well, and I don't even see, like, it's funny, like everyone, because I play old man guitars and I play old old man amps. I think a lot of people peg me as just a blues dad, and I kind of am, but I love everything. I really do. I listen to a lot of electronic music. Most of the music I listen to, like throughout the day, if there's a guitar in it, you can't hear it. So, but there's just something about it. I think I'm spent on pedals, like, in that scale.
Sure.
But all that to say, if it was take all of Josh's collection and his amp and all that versus like one burst, I'd still pick the burst. That'd be it.
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
Okay.
As long as it sounded good.
Oh,
I've heard bursts
One of
that
the
don't
good
sound all
ones.
that great.
I've
heard
played
a lot
many
of
that
bursts.
suck too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd?
Well, I'm gonna take the pedals for sure, because
Yeah, I'm the only one.
I like an amp, but I really enjoy all the weird things and the different sounds and the combinations and all the things that make the pedal world what they are. I like amps, but also most of his stuff, an overwhelming amount of his stuff is like clean Fendery stuff, and I said, Tony's given me the face of like, I'm judging your. I said most. Of course, he's got the Marshalls and all that stuff up there on stage too, that he was using really just for bass tone. However, by and large, if you've got a Fender Tweed, you're not going to plug a bunch of pedals into it. You're going to play the way you can play the thing.
If you have a twin, you would. A Tweed
Yes.
twin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody would hear it.
You'd put the Tweed in front of the Twin like a pedal.
No, the Tweed twin.
Yeah, that too. You
Yeah.
put the Tweed twin in front of the Tweed and the Twin. Anyways, I'm going with the pedals. Steve Keys, that was a delicious question, man. That was really cool, and I appreciate that you sent that out. If you out there like, I've got a great question, I've got a great would you rather, please send it our way. We'd love to hear from you, okay?
Yeah.
All right, we need to thank a handful of people.
That is correct, Todd.
2 handfuls of people, maybe.
Maybe so.
Yes.
We'll see.
And then we're going to say goodbye to our good friend, Zach.
That's right, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a special group of people that we love to thank. These are our executive producers.
That's
Now,
right.
What's an executive producer? Well, an executive producer makes this show possible.
Yep.
How do you become one? Real easy. Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple levels in which you can participate, become a sponsor, a patron, a hero of this podcast.
That's true.
That's true.
That's very true.
Yes. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts, and I do mean nice, and I do mean gifts.
Yeah.
But there's one thing more. Jared Aru, what is that?
And you get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing. So special thanks to these executive producers. Moon Guitars, Vader and Pedals, John Helverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mac D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Jamalero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Sanchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pampas, David Tyndall, Trevor Ellenberg, and Christopher Logan.
Very good. You
But-
did it all right.
But Todd, there's
Yes.
one more group of people that we love to thank. Mm-hmm. These are our grand poobahs.
Indeed.
These are the top of the heap,
That's right.
peak of the peak.
Yes.
What else is there? There's not a peak.
Cream of the
peak.
crop.
Cream of the crop.
A number one.
A number one. So special thanks to these grand poobahs. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound,
All right.
Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Van Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups,
Yeah.
Yep.
and our poet emeritus, Matt Hart.
There you go. Man, oh man, we cannot thank you guys enough. Truly, you keep our engines going, both, I think, personally.
Yes.
Tony, I think we could say this.
Yes.
And Jared, and as well as the actual engine of this ship
Yes.
that we sail.
That's right.
Zach from Mythos, where can people find the things that you get? Where can people go get one of these Hephaestus?
Well, you can
Heffalumps.
go to mythospedals.com. You can check out all the dealers, and hopefully there's a dealer nearby wherever you are. We have dealers all over the world. It's crazy, but yeah, check us out there and on Instagram and Threads now and all the things that exist on the internet.
And maybe sign up on your site for news for the new pedals that are coming, I would say, maybe.
Get on that newsletter because
There you go.
we send one every
Yes.
week, and it's usually just the psychotic ramblings of myself or Matthew. It's really fun.
Perfect.
I wrote Mythos in the Google thingy, and Pedals came up right after it. So easy
See?
to find. Go check it out.
I'm in your algorithm.
That's correct.
Awesome. Tony, how about yourself?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I do that I have available. But by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do. And I might even have some advice.
Yes.
You're the best, brother.
And or some awesome materials.
That's right.
Jared?
Instagram, jared.allen.brandon. Instagram.
It's not
That's
just
where
for
I'm at.
breakfast anymore.
Yeah. Yes.
Message me if you like. Have any questions about pickups? I'll talk to you about pickups. And
You can
more
also
pickups
get to
and
Jared
stuff
by
like that.
way of me. And that is, send me an email, Todd@theguitarknobs.com, or shoot me an DM on Instagram @guitarknobs. That's where I'm most active. We will field your questions for the group or whatever you want. And please send your would you rathers.
Yes.
Also, check out Flint Effects in case you got one of them Fender pedal boards and your power thing is slipping around.
Yes.
And a stomper for your HX stomp and stuff.
Protect
Go
your
do it.
knobs.
Protect your knobs. Hey, everybody. Zach, you've been awesome as per usual. It's so good to talk
Hey.
to you, buddy.
Great to talk to you guys. Happy to be back, at least for this one, right?
Yeah. Hey, everybody out there. Have a fantastic guitar weekend. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Have you been over to see Jared's porch?
His porch?
Well, for the last several weeks, he's been building this deck, the deck to end all decks.
Oh, we're building a deck.
Oh, well, you should talk to him on a different show about that.
Man,
OG.
It's the best
Dang.
around.
Guitar knobs OG.
yeah, man. It's the OG group tonight.
Yeah,
I am in Robertson County, right next to Davidson County.
it sounds
go.
like you're in a shoebox, Jared.
That would be interesting.
Where's Matthew now?
He's in the office next to me.
Oh.
Yeah, he works for me now.
Well.
What a tangled web we weave.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can talk about it. It's fine.
Yes. Deceiver.
Judas.
Yes.
Only you knew.
Yes. Episode 322, interview with Benedict Arnold.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yes. Happy Traders Day.
We can keep this
Like
going.
I'll be back in 1 second. Hold on.
Oh my goodness.
Test. Test. Do I sound better?
That sounds better.
Yes.
All right.
All right, man. You made it through the gauntlet again.
Yeah. Were those record lights supposed to be on? Because I noticed that earlier. And
It is impressive though, because I showed up when basically he just had string and a couple stakes in the ground and was trying to. I mean, it did show me like how unruly that screw is, because Jared's like 6'7", 350,
Yeah.
and he was really wrestling that thing. So
yeah,
good
we
on
just
you,
hired some
Jared.
people.
Yeah. Matt, is that what Matthew does?
Matthew
Yeah.
does porches?
I don't know. Is that why you hired him?
No.
Oh, okay.
He knew the people that we hired. That's part of it.
But I'm a GM. Well, GM the crap out of my deck, bro.
That's right. Get out your level, bitch.
Did you change the spelling of Mjolnir yet?
No.
Video
okay.
killed
I like your mustache,
radio
though, bro.
stuff.
Yeah, that is dandy.
My mustache?
So this will be number 323.
It's my lucky number.
It is a lucky number.
4,715, my lucky number. What do you got over there? You got some iced coffee, you got some gin. What do you got?
I got a LaCroix in a Mythos koozie, and it sounds like this.
Oh, man.
Yeah. When my kids were watching Dora and Diego and all that stuff. Well, where do you want to go? How about you? Let's go over here. And I'm just like, oh my God, what? Like, stop. Well, my friend, my dear friend, Dan, was actually one of the key animators for that show. So I decided I've had enough, and I called him up several times and let him have it. And he's like, hey, pal, what are you doing? And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, what are you doing?
Do you want me to hook up my shotgun mic and we can get some really good Foley sound effects of me drinking?
Nice.
No. Yeah, Zeus is dead. I killed him.
Yeah.
Zeus is dead. Long live Zeus. Do you have a
I'm
four on the floor?
prepared. Of course, I read the email.
Yes!
I was a Boy Scout. I've always come prepared.
I love it. I was an Indian guide.
There you go.
Yeah.
How, Kimasabi?
My name was Little Crow,
Little Crow.
and my dad was Big Crow.
Oh, that's right.
And we were in the Chiricahua tribe of the Silver Moon Nation.
Dang. It's time for four on the
No,
floor.
not that one. Not that one. Do it. Here we go. Ready? All right. Oh, hey, Jared.
Yes.
What's up, homie?
Zach has some questions about building a deck. So make
Yes.
sure you talk to him about that. And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.